next 15 or so minutes. We're gonna get done with this quickly. So here's Ralph.
Forthcoming are the education proposals. There are 5 remaining. I will read them off. After I read them off, let me know what you think with your hands. And explicitly, if you have a block, make it incredibly apparent. Proposal 2. Public universities, as well as all public institutions, shall not do business with organizations that do not comply with or otherwise oppose fair labor standards. Looking for blocks.
If you have a block, go to the middle. How about that?
Block zone. That's not accessible to everyone necessarily.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway.
Can you repeat that move?
Yeah. Is that a reread?
Reread.
Reread. Public universities, as well as all public institutions, shall not do business with organizations that do not comply with or otherwise oppose fair labor standards.
Celia, do you have a concern?
That's a... Okay. Then, I see no blocks, and seeing no blocks, point of clarification. So the way that we've decided to move forward is without discussion. I can clarify any of these for anyone afterwards, and I can do it in great detail, so please don't hesitate to ask. Except for in this process, because that's not where we're doing it. Proposition 3. So, let me just be clear, that passed. There were no blocks. All eyes saw? Good, moving on. Services in publicly owned universities shall be university owned and student run to the greatest extent achievable. Any blocks? I'm looking for blocks. Lovely blockless bunch of you. Okay, seeing no blocks. And am I equal in seeing no blocks? Then the proposal moves forward. Next. Standardized testing shall be used for purposes of evaluating students and teachers in order to identify areas of improvement and not for determining school funding and teacher pay. Any blocks? Beautiful. Okay. Am I equal in seeing no blocks?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone sees a block, tell me. Second to last. Public money shall not be used to fund for-profit charter schools, either directly or through voucher systems. I'm looking for blocks.
No blocks. No blocks.
Wonderful. Last education proposal, which is a new one. Private student loans shall be subject to the same consolidation and forgiveness guidelines as federal student loans. Looking for blocks. I don't see any blocks.
No blocks.
That is the last education proposal. Thank you. Can we get foreclosure up here?
Foreclosure, come on.
Just, who is taking notes right now? Are you? Okay, you're taking notes? Okay, let me just quickly say that whoever's taking notes, if you guys can send that to general@peoplesconventionofflorida.org so that we can get all of the notes consolidated into one place. It's very simple. It's just peoplesconventionofflorida.org is exactly how it sounds, and just general, and just send in the notes so we'll have a copy and these can get posted in the forums. Everybody knows what went on even if they weren't here. Now foreclosure is going to be coming up to give their list.
This is a proposal from banking and foreclosure. It might fall more under the banking topic. We would like to propose to establish a Florida Consumer Watchdog Agency in order to disestablish practices of foreign corporations. That's non-Florida corporations. Temperature check. Are there any blocks? We propose to establish a Florida Consumer Watchdog Agency.
No block.
Okay, and the last one, we only had 3.
Process, you still can't hear.
Oh, it's still good here?
So if you repeat it one more time.
Oh, the second one was to establish a Florida Consumer Watchdog Agency. And the third one is, we demand a creation of a socialized Central Floridian lending institution to establish a full Bank of Florida or credit union for the protection of Floridians and Florida commerce, and to encourage local banks to lend to local businesses at an extremely low interest rate, which will create businesses and jobs. And we want to fund this with a small percentage of the $70.8 billion Florida budget. And it will eventually fund itself, because it'll create jobs.
Are there any blocks on that one? No? Okay. So I don't know if she's typing over here, so if you can give the specific language of your proposals to this person taking minutes, that would be great. Okay, environmental now is going to come up and give their list.
Just the second one. Just the second one. Yes, the second one. Read it quick. Go.
We have a lot of Okay,
1 second.
just a second, they're coming up.
All right.
No second for you.
The way ours is set up, oh yeah, I'm sorry. The way ours is set up, it's a proposal and solutions. So please be patient. We expect the protection of the environment and ecosystem of Florida. Now to do that, we have proposed two. We expect an end to the environmental trust fund dollars being reallocated to any projects that are outside the environmental arena. We expect complete transparency in all financial transactions concerning these environmental trust funds. We expect Florida to set water quality guidelines to be higher than the EPA's and enforced to the fullest extent. Additionally, we expect the state to adopt nutrient criteria for phosphorus and nitrogen and to close down corporations that do not adhere to these guidelines. We expect an investigation into the industrial sources of chromium-6 and statewide industrial and commercial testing for chromium-6 byproducts. We expect an immediate end to the dumping of fluoride in our waterways and oceans. We expect the enforcement of the Mangrove Protection Act to close all loopholes associated with those laws. Any blocks?
No blocks.
Sweet.
Labor, or is that?
That was one. It's one proposal and a whole bunch of solutions. The rest of ours. The rest of ours will be posted on the People's Convention of Florida website. They're not completely put together since.
Proposal and not the solution.
Okay, so they said they have some incomplete proposals that they don't want to, that they don't think are ready for presenting. So they,
We'll go at the end of staff. We'll get them done by then.
okay, that's fine. Okay, who's next?
Labor.
All right, labor. All right.
Hey everybody. Let's start. We demand no further infringement on worker rights and the full ability and protection of workers' rights to organize, including but not limited to farm workers, undocumented workers, domestic workers, and public workers. That good? Okay. We demand repealing the law which eliminated K-12 teacher tenure and stopping any future tenure laws which will repeal tenure for higher education officials. We demand that anti-worker legislation and the prospects of any such legislation be eliminated, such as the Union Gag Bill, which would eliminate automatic deductions for public worker unions, a tax on state worker pensions, efforts to decertify public worker unions, and we also demand we demand the elimination of Florida as a right-to-work state. We demand a stricter enforcement of workplace laws and stricter penalty for employers that violate these laws. Any blocks?
No blocks.
We demand the protections for individuals who report workplace violations. We demand the end of the privatization of government jobs and services. We demand an end to the intrusion of worker privacy and subsequent discrimination in regards to drug testing, credit scores, social media, etc. We demand full worker rights to undocumented workers. We oppose anti-immigrant legislation meant to discriminate and attack undocumented workers and people. We demand an end to the attacks on unemployed workers and their benefits and attacks on social safety nets which protect workers in times of hardships. This is the last one. And we demand the expansion and modernization of social safety net programs such as unemployment benefits meant to protect workers and their families.
That was a great list. I think we liked pretty much every single one of those. All right, who's next? All right, taxes is up next for the full length of their proposal.
I'm gonna try this. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Put it right up on your leaves. Yeah. Horizontal. Right up on your mouth.
Like this.
This mic check.
Mic check.
We call for the restoration of tax cuts.
We call for the restoration of tax cuts
Enacted in the last decade. Which have steadily removed the state's capacity to pay its expenses. We call for reduced. Rather than increased dependence on taxes.
We call for restoration of tax cuts enacted in the last decade, which have steadily removed the state's capacity to pay its expenses. We call for reduced rather than increased dependence on taxes on the 99% disguised as fees. We call for
Do you want him to reread the whole proposal? I'm sorry.
All right, sorry. We call for a restoration of tax cuts enacted in the last decade, which have steadily removed the state's capacity to pay its expenses. We call for reduced rather than increased dependence on taxes on the 99% disguised as fees. We call for restoration of the intangibles tax and reduced expenditures on incentives to business, which are little more than corporate welfare.
I think I understand what you mean. But shouldn't the first sentence demand the repeal of tax cuts?
And the repeal of tax cuts.
That is not an ethical.
It's the exact opposite thing.
I'm gonna try. I'll say we can add repeal at the beginning.
The restoration of tax cuts means you want more taxes. Yeah. I don't think
The restoration of tax cuts.
It's the exact opposite.
Right. Good catch.
Okay, that was blocked. It was just a block, pass, fail thing. We don't have time to discuss these things. That one didn't get consensus. Oh wait, no, but did it get consent? What was the? I'm sorry if I misunderstood, but you just wanted to change it to repeal, so amending it.
If we can do that, that would be
Okay, so if we add that it's repeal tax cuts instead of restore them. Okay, they're gonna talk about this and then we'll bring it back at the end of stack. I think that's a better idea. That's a better idea. Okay. What's the next group? Okay, voting. Do the voting rights group have any more proposals that they would like to present? Okay. All right.
Oh wait, I'm not supposed to. Or am I not supposed to?
Brandon has the proposal, but he is taking stack, so unless someone else would read it for him, he would have to give up his stack. Okay. Okay. Okay.
We want to ensure free and clear elections. We demand all votes made physically on paper ballots that are accessible.
This was brought up. Sorry. Not good voting yet. So I don't know.
We're good.
Did anyone have a voting issue besides me? Because I don't think we did
Not
have
from that working group. We had everything done.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so that's it?
Sorry, that was
okay. Who else is on stack?
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Okay, this is legislate. If a popular vote is cast in favor of infrastructure projects in the form of a proposal on the ballot, that mandate is then binding as the will of the people, thus translated into actions that supports the vote and not held back in debate, holding out on needed actions through another election cycle. Legislate the creation of a public transportation development agency to forward greater utilitarian use and connectivity of public transportation across the state of Florida.
My proposal is to end profits for arresting citizens, to stop privatization of prisons, and a general reform of the justice system, as well as eliminating judicial support for private probationary institutions.
Alright, that last one's a really good one, I think. But, alright. Homelessness had some more proposals, I think.
Homeless. Because we see the use of the word homeless as inherent to the negative stigma attached to those that attempt to describe or to see language as the fundamental building block of any problems or solutions processes, we of Florida choose to adopt the descriptive, accurate terminology of houseless people. Yes, but it was not voted on. When addressing this issue. So I was for an up or down on that one. We did not do an up or down, we did a hot temperature and we left. That was when we had the early.
Okay, so it's blocked. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Human rights is the last group that was supposed to go. After that, we will reintroduce things that were blocked for one final vote. Yes, human rights. Okay. Oh no, wait, hold on. He wants to. I don't know. Sure. Okay, human rights wants to speak to each other for a moment. So, environment would like to reintroduce. What?
At the moment.
Okay, so I guess that will take a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so taxes, the block proposal then will come up.
Alright, I'm going to try the last of my voice to get this through. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to read these as 3 separate proposals for everybody to do. We call for the restoration of taxes cut in the last decade, which have steadily removed to the state's capacity to pay its expenses. I have the other two sentences. Like I said, we're doing proposals separately. We kind of split it up. We call for reduced rather than increased dependence on taxes on the 99% disguised as fees. We call for the restoration of the intangibles tax and reduced expenditures on incentives to business, which are little more than corporate welfare.
Okay. I don't. All right, environmental and human rights. Are you guys ready? Human rights, if they could get over here soon, that would be great. We're running out of time, and we'd like to get some things into the record before we have to end today. Just waiting for them to give us their come up to give their proposals. Then that will basically be the end of our GA once they do that. I guess in the meantime, let me just say thank you for everyone who's been here. This will only be like another 10 minutes, and then we'll be ready to finish. And this would have been nothing without all of you being here. So thank you to everybody that came out. And this has really been a wonderful experience. It wasn't perfect, I don't think, but it was a first step, and I think it went a lot better than anyone expected. So it's been wonderful, everyone. Seriously, it's been great to meet everyone. Okay, environmental, they're here to give their last proposals. Then we'll hear from human rights, and then that will be pretty much the end of tonight. Oh, and Sundrop, I think she has a...
Just quickly.
Just quickly. Comprehensible English.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Just quickly.
Just quickly.
I would like to thank everyone for engaging in a full consensus process. At the beginning of the day, many people thought we couldn't do it, but we have. So big love to everyone for having the compassion and patience to see this through.
Our last proposal, you don't have to repeat me, it's okay. We expect the state of Florida to implement an agricultural system that is sustainable for people, animals, and the environment. We expect the ban on growing industrial hemp lifted. For producing stuff, not for smoking it, don't giggle like that. We expect the immediate ban on genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, and the labeling of any GMO products that enter the state of Florida. We expect better incentives for organic farming and a certification fee scale based on yearly sales.
Which one were you bought? Can you come up here?
I can discuss it separately and come back.
Which one were you bought?
GMO one.
No, that was part of a proposed solution, not an actual part. Technically it's part of the proposal, but yeah.
I think they're separate demands.
Yeah, they're definitely separate.
Yeah.
What were you blocking?
Can we just add patented GMOs? Some GMOs are good.
Okay, we're not discussing right now, so if you have a blog,
bacteria that
give it to one of the people are tired. Okay, that one we can just say is blocked. Again, remember this is not the end all be all of everything we ever want to have happen, so these things can come up again in the future. This is for open discussion later on. This will continue being discussed on the forums and in the future. Okay, so right now we need human rights to please come up and give their proposals. Is human rights ready to go, guys? Because we. Okay.
For human rights, we demand the state of Florida chooses not to redefine a fetus as a person at conception. Any blocks?
Can you repeat it?
We demand that the state of Florida chooses not to redefine a fetus as a person at the time of conception.
They've been trying to do that, Amy.
So can you reword it? A fetus is not a person at conception.
Right. We demand that the current definition of a forcible rape and that the rights entitled from that remain unchanged. Okay. We demand adequate pay, equal treatment, and a pathway to citizenship for migrant workers. We demand that immigration remain the sole domain and function of the federal government. We demand a fair, non-restricted wage, humane treatment and conditions, and meals that meet the FDA regulations for average caloric intake for prisoners.
Pizza's not vegetable.
We demand that the treatment of prisoners focus more on rehabilitation than keeping incarceration.
I love you guys!
We love you.
Okay, that's fine. Environment would like to re-propose the issue that was blocked with an amendment, if that's all right. The last thing, that will be the very last thing, if that's okay with everyone.
Go for it.
Okay, if you guys are ready to re-propose it with an amendment very soon, we don't have a lot of time, so really has to be like in the next couple minutes.
Like next minute. 60 seconds.
I'm going to get the logo right on here.
Are you guys ready to re-propose the environmental thing, or should it be continue to be discussed? If there's a lot of discussion on it, no, they can't. You guys can't bring it back up.
You guys can bring it back up.
You can bring it back up. Oh, you didn't want to? Okay.
Say you were what?
Okay, that's fine. If you guys don't want to, then that's fine. You don't have to. All right. People said it was fine for you guys to bring it back up if you wanted to. If you don't want to bring it back up, then you don't have to.
I do. I'll read the rest of the file. I'm with you, Mark. Let's do this. We're here. You get through a lot of work. Let's do it.
Okay. Is it going to be re-proposed then?
Like everybody's really good.
Well, what I'm saying is that some GMOs are good. We shouldn't ban GMOs. What are GMOs? GMOs are genetically modified. What are GMOs? Oh, good GMOs are things that increase
Are you going to re-propose it?
like if you
We need to get this through. We really have to get this.
Here, over there, sidebar. Here, right here. Okay, stop wrapping things up then. Where did we wrap all these?
All right. Okay. Super Dan is going to re-propose the blocked proposal, I think, just for the sake of putting it on the record if there are no more blocks. So he's going to restate it.
All right, I'm going to start up from the beginning so that we can be nice and clear, a little bit of clarity there. We expect the state of Florida to implement an agriculture system that is sustainable for people, animals, and the environment. We expect the ban on growing industrial hemp lifted. We expect the immediate ban on genetically modified organisms, aka GMOs, and the labeling of any GMO products that enter the state of Florida. We expect better incentives for organic farming and a certification fee scale based on yearly sales. We expect the free funding of the Farm Share program, which donates unsold produce to soup kitchens and food banks. We expect funding for the Farm to Table program, which incentivizes fresh, healthy foods in the schools. We demand that state land allocated for public interest purposes be open for use as community gardens. We demand expansion of ecotourism that has a positive impact on the environment and additional incentives for companies that demand that ecotourism. We demand all runoff from farming operations must be treated as hazardous waste. We demand CAFOs, transparency of the health and sanitation of farm animals, and demand that organic provisions of feed for the quality of life of farm animals contained within these operations be mandated. We demand a way to incentivize turning manure into compost, fertilizer, and/or fuel. We expect that all tax money only be spent on native plants, that only native plants be used on state properties. That is all.
Okay guys, I think that's all everybody's proposals. Thank you so much everybody for coming. This has been an amazing weekend. I think this has been a really great first step for us. We're going to continue organizing together in the future. I love all of you. Remember, we might disagree on a few things here and there, but we have the same goals, and you're all great. So thank you once again for being here, and I think that's the end. Unity Club!
Yeah, we need to do that. I saw that done yesterday. It was great.
One last request that we ask, if you guys can help us just put chairs and stuff back where they belong in the park so that we don't get